November 2023. The financial world woke up to a seismic shift. Binance, the undisputed king of the crypto jungle, just signed its own surrender. This wasn't just a fine, it was a full-scale capitulation to the US government. A $4 billion gavel strike that signaled the end of the Wild West era. CZ, the man who built an empire with no borders, is stepping down. The question isn't just why it happened, but how the world's most powerful exchange got trapped in the very system it tried to outrun. The anatomy of a collapse. What began as a lightning-fast exchange launched from a server in China grew under the radical premise of ubiquity. Changpeng Zhao didn't just challenge traditional banks, he challenged the very concept of national jurisdiction. For years, Binance operated as a digital nomad, moving faster than the ink could dry on regulatory paperwork. Yet that same agility became its Achilles heel. The US Department of Justice, the DOJ, wasn't merely hunting for a record-breaking settlement. They were hunting for control. The indictment was clinical. By bypassing strict know-your-customer, KYC, and anti-money laundering protocols, Binance had created a digital playground where illicit actors, from terrorist financiers to cybercriminals, could move assets in the shadows.
Flashback to 2017. Bitcoin was a rocket ship. Thousands of people were trying to get in, but legacy exchanges were slow, buggy, and complicated. Then came Binance. CZ didn't just build an exchange. He built a high-frequency trading engine that worked anywhere, for anyone, instantly. In the digital economy, friction is the enemy, and Binance was the cure. They grew faster than almost anyone expected, operating globally with speed few competitors could match. For millions of users, Binance felt like the future had arrived early. But speed has a funny way of attracting gravity.
For years, Binance played a game of cat and mouse with regulators around the world, operating on the fringe of traditional finance. If one country banned them, they simply moved their servers and shifted their headquarters to the next jurisdiction, staying one step ahead of the paperwork. They were more than a company. They were a digital nation-state, a borderless entity answerable to no one but the code itself. However, in the eyes of the law, you can't be the biggest player in the world and stay invisible forever. Success brought a spotlight that couldn't be turned off. The Department of Justice began a grueling, multi-year hunt, meticulously looking for patterns of money laundering, illicit financing, and blatant sanctions violations. They weren't looking for a minor software bug or a technical glitch. They were looking for a systemic, foundational breach of the law that suggested the exchange's growth was built on bypassing the rules. As federal investigators tightened their grip and coordinated with international allies, the fluid world CZ had built began to solidify into a trap. The circle began to close, the regulatory loopholes were welded shut, and the once plentiful exit doors started to disappear.
The inevitable finally happened in November, sending shockwaves through the entire crypto landscape. It culminated in a record-breaking $4.3 billion settlement, a figure so massive it redefined the cost of doing business in the digital age. CZ pleaded guilty, making a calculated sacrifice not just for his own legal standing, but to save the sprawling empire he had spent years building from the ground up. He chose the survival of the platform over his own seat at the table. The terms of the deal are truly unprecedented, marking a total loss of the privacy the exchange once championed. Government monitors will now essentially live inside Binance's code and internal operations for years to come, acting as a permanent shadow over every transaction and decision. The era of the Buccaneer is over. The pirates are being forced to trade their flags for suits and become disciplined executives under the watchful eye of the state. This transformation comes with a heavy price. The very thing that made Binance great, its raw, lawless agility and its ability to move at the speed of thought, is being surgically removed. This radical operation is the only way to ensure the company's survival in the New World Order, where the freedom of the frontier has been traded for the security of a regulated fortress. Binance survives, but the wild crypto era is officially dead. The dust has settled to reveal a landscape that has been fundamentally reshaped. While the future of finance might still be decentralized in its technology, the authority remains firmly and undeniably in the hands of the system. This was the true, staggering price of mass adoption, the transition from a rebel movement to an institutional reality. CZ understood this trade-off better than anyone, ultimately trading his throne and his personal control for a chance to cement a lasting legacy and keep his creation alive. If you want to understand how the next era of money will be written and who will hold the pen, you need to watch this space closely. The transition we are witnessing is the birth of a new kind of financial sovereignty. Subscribe for the full story on the evolution of digital power as we dive deep into the players and the politics shaping our future. The game hasn't ended, it has simply evolved, and it is now being played by a sophisticated set of new rules that every investor and enthusiast must learn to navigate.